get started now? Can you hear me? Good evening, I'm Linda Arts. I'm the supervisor of Cedar Creek Township. I'm going to call this meeting to order on Tuesday, May 11, 2021 at 6:08 p.m. This meeting is being held at Holton Public School System on Sayers Road. It is being taped and the video will be posted on Cedar Creek Township on our website. Mr. Coker, if you will please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. You. our flag is right here, our little bitty flag.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That wasn't so bad, was it, Steve? Thank you. Clerk Kuziak, if you would please call the roll.
Trustee Wright. Trustee Wright.
Trustee Wright.
Trustee Foster.
Here.
Treasurer Jarvis.
Here.
Supervisor. Clerk Kuziak here. Supervisor Art.
Here. Everyone is present. Thank you. And I don't have my agenda in front of me. Excuse me. If I could please have a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Hold on. I would like to make an amendment to the agenda. I would like to eliminate the item in the unofficial business called the noise ordinance task from the recommendation.
Point of order, I object to that. That's the main reason most of us are here.
That's right.
If you do that plan well,
I'll support.
that's not our problem.
Okay. Maggie, hang on, I gotta do it.
We have a motion and a support.
To remove from agenda.
Okay. Okay, I'd like to take a vote on that if we could.
Trustee Wright. On your motion. Yes or no? Do you want it
No.
removed?
Speak up, we can all hear you.
Do you want this removed from the agenda, which is what the motion was?
Yes.
Trustee Foster.
Yes.
Treasurer Jarvis.
No.
Clerk Kuziak, no. Art.
No.
Supervisor Arts.
No.
Motion does not pass.
Thank you.
All right, now may I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll support.
Trustee, Wright.
I need a second on that. Did I get one?
Seven,
You did?
seven
Okay.
seconded it. I got
Okay.
it. Trustee Wright. Approve the agenda as it is.
Approve the agenda as is?
Trustee Foster.
No.
Treasurer Jarvis.
Yes.
Treasurer Clerk Kuziak, yes. Supervisor Arts.
Yes, motion carries. All right, you have before you a draft copy of the April 13 board minutes. May I please have a motion to approve the minutes or call for any additional edits?
I'll move to approve the minutes from the April meeting.
Hey, is there any way you can make that thing louder where we can hear it?
So you can't hear me from where you are?
Can't hear us. We'll stand up when we speak. Is that going to help, you think?
Pass that mic around or something. This is crazy. I can't hear nothing.
I think you can take your masks off if you would for this.
All right, I will repeat what we just did for you. We are approving the minutes from April 13th, 2021. The motion was to accept the minutes, started by Treasurer Jarvis, and the second was from Trustee Wright. Any discussion? Any discussion?
I'm sorry, I was trying to untangle the cord here. Is there any discussion on this? Hearing none, motion carries.
No, I gotta do a roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm going to do a roll call to make sure all the board approves. Trustee Wright, are you approving these minutes?
Yes.
Trustee Foster?
Yes.
Treasurer Jarvis?
Yes.
Clerk Kuziak, yes. Supervisor Arts?
Yes.
Motion for the minutes has passed.
If you'll bear with me one moment, I'm going to unplug this and try and untangle this cord so we can reach this across so people can hear. Okay.
All right.
Hopefully that'll work.
You're on silent.
Okay. Treasurer Jarvis, please provide us with the details of your treasurer's report.
Sir, would you like my coats?
Not used to this. Our April 1st general fund beginning balance was $1,026,053.95. Our April revenues were $13,053.71. Our April expenditures were $37,461.98, leaving an ending balance of $1,001,645.68.
Thank you, Heather. Do any of the members of the board have any questions for Heather?
No.
No? No questions? Then we will place the treasurer's report on file. Clerk Kuziak, are there any disbursements?
Only disbursements we have are the normal disbursements for the township per month. Normal bills.
Finishing Crocker Road.
Pardon?
Finishing Crocker Road, remember you said you were going to blacktop it and you were going to, as of 2 years ago now.
That's not a disbursement, sir.
That's not a disbursement,
Okay.
that's a special.
Just saying that's funds that should
That's,
Yeah. We are on top of that.
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Assessed.
I will address that in a bit. That is not a disbursement, though. May I have a motion, please, to pay all the regular monthly bills?
Make that motion.
I gotta stand up, please, so they can hear you.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
Okay, motion was with Trustee Wright, supported by Trustee Foster, to pay the disbursements and the bills for the township for the month.
All in favor?
Oh, no, I have to roll call.
Yeah.
Trustee Wright,
Yes.
Trustee Foster,
Yes.
Treasurer Jarvis,
Yes.
Clerk Kuziak, yes. Supervisor Arts.
Yes.
Motion to pay the bills is passed.
There are no department reports this month, however, there will be next month, so please be prepared if you are responsible for department report. Correspondence for this month.
I have no correspondence.
Okay, supervisors report or remarks. This is a bit on the lengthy side, but please bear with me if you would. Cedar Creek Township is a zoned community. The last zoning ordinance was revised in 1993, 28 years ago, by Supervisor Jim Mustin, Treasurer Sharon Ackerman, Clerk Lorraine Hawkins, and Trustees Tony Crosser and William Carpenter. Revising an ordinance is a normal procedure in a township. As townships grow and change, zoning regulations are in place for the benefit of all people. not just for those who want things done or not done to suit their particular needs, wants, or desires. I regret that someone felt it was acceptable to create an inflammatory piece of misinformation and further advisable to circulate that piece online and throughout the township without first gathering. You'll have your chance. Without first gathering the correct facts. Their piece was designed to incite anger by leaving out and reworking important contextual information necessary to understanding the proposed noise ordinance. What their piece fails to point out is that much of the ordinance remains the same as the revised 1993 document. Over the past year, Cedar Creek Township has received a growing number of noise-related complaints. In fact, last October, we sat in this very room and listened as people complained about it and asked what we were going to do about that. To that end, the board voted to form a task force to study the issue. We placed a sunset date of June 7th so that the task force could make a recommendation to the board no later than the June board meeting. The task force members were very well represented by Captain Shane Brown of the Muskegon County Sheriff's Department, Jackie Miskovich, DNR Law Enforcement Officer, Jennifer Barnes, Attorney and Chair of the Cedar Creek Planning Commission, Peggy Foster, Cedar Creek Trustee, Lorraine Grabinski, Cedar Creek Zoning Administrator, a Cedar Creek citizen, and me, Linda Arts. Simply stated, this is a noise ordinance. It addresses all noise, such as late night snowmobiling, partying late at night, not the kind where you are enjoying yourself in your backyard with your neighbors, but the raucous kind that prevents others from being able to sleep. Excessive daytime noises, and yes, late night shooting. With that said, no one at Cedar Creek Township is attempting to take your guns away.
Just trying to regulate when we can use them, right?
Correct. That's correct.
There will be public comment. If you could please wait, and we will get to every single person's comment.
Please stop.
If you can't be let's not get disrupted. Please, let's be peaceful and let's get through this. Thank you.
Oddly enough, this flyer asks for civil discourse. In an attempt to work things out, many of those attempts have been made. This flyer is a perfect example of what happens when people distort facts rather than attempt to work things out with truth. It also has come to my attention that a person of perceived power made a call to the home of a complainant implying that it would be better if they would withdraw their complaint. Let me state this clearly. Cedar Creek Township is a complaint-based township, and everyone has a right to file a complaint should they feel they have been aggrieved. Is this how we operate in Cedar Creek Township? Has distorting the truth become a new normal? I certainly hope not. If you kept your yard clean and took pride in it, the township zoning administrator would be the first person you would call if your neighbor's yard were full of trash and junk cars. You would also want a zoning ordinance that is strong enough so that the police could do something to support you if your neighbor decided to play loud music from midnight to 5 a.m. Contrary to popular opinion, everyone does not play well in the sandbox as an adult. About a year ago, we conducted a very informal survey on the reasons why people chose to live in Cedar Creek Township. They often cited sporting activities, We have all sorts of different opportunities here, such as hunting and fishing and hiking. But they also named peace and quiet as important reasons. We need to find a balance that allows us to live within both of these worlds. Just as many of the people who also enjoy peace also enjoy hunting and target shooting. They also need and appreciate sleep and safety. Please know that no one on this board is anti-gun. I have hunted. I am married to a hunter, as is Heather. Bob is a hunter, and his wife shoots. Stephanie is going to take shooting lessons. And we all know that Peggy and Gary Foster own a gun shop. I have talked to many people since this misinformation piece has gone viral, including Marcus Keach and Representative Van Workum's office. Initially, I thought, oh no, but then I remembered that I too have spoken with my legislators when I was upset. So I applaud you for taking the initiative to stand up for your convictions. We appreciate and consider your input. This is how good government works. Here are some of your concerns. The state of Michigan fireworks law supersedes Cedar Creek firecracker law. Restrictions. This piece is so blown out of proportion by misinformation that I find it very difficult not to be angry. We want you to love and enjoy Cedar Creek Township. The reasonable person standard would allow a farmer to put down an injured animal after the stated hours. While I will defer to the experts here, it is my understanding that we place this DNR regulation regarding nighttime shooting in our ordinance due to visual safety concerns. Cedar Creek Township does not regulate the United States Forest Service, which operates the Motorsports Trail and happens to lie close to a vocal dissenter's home. We have no control over how long their hours of operation are, which are longer than shooting hours. We also took some things out of the ordinance that were pure legalese and strengthened our purpose statement to ensure it meets the needs of all residents. Now for criminal penalties. That has been there since 1993. If you listened to the task force meeting, to the last task force meeting, you would have heard the exchange that Captain Brown and I had about lowering the penalties that have been in existence since 1993. We weren't going to do it in the first draft. We will do it in a subsequent draft. But we don't want people to have a $500 penalty and the current penalties that are in existence. But nobody bothered to talk about those. They took it as verbatim with that piece that's being circulated. We discussed the option of going before a magistrate and reducing that penalty structure. It's good for our township. It's good for the citizens of Cedar Creek. With all this said, in no way do I agree with how this information was spread throughout the township. After having talked with what feels like 1 million different people in a township that has approximately 3,320 people living in Cedar Creek, I have found several areas that I feel need tightening up in this current noise ordinance, in the draft noise ordinance. It will be my recommendation that we table this until all issues have been addressed before the task force. With that, I would like to then open it up to public comments.
When you stand or when you make a public comment, please stand. State your name loud enough that I can hear it and your address, and I need to know that you are a Cedar Creek Township resident. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dirk Burkett. I'm at 6261 Ryerson Road. I've read a lot of things in your book there that seem a little unreasonable. There's a lot of people that work second and third shift. If those individuals want to go home and go snowmobiling or whatever they want and it's evening time, they should be able to do that without having to worry about somebody calling the cops and getting a fine. So, I don't know. I spent a lot of time in the military, Iraq, Afghanistan, former law enforcement, and this stuff, I didn't fight to come home and have a bunch more regulations on myself or other people. So I think the only reasonable way to handle this is instead of a few people on the board voting on it, why don't you have the whole community vote on it?
I'm Lynn Sample. I reside on Ewing Road in Cedar Creek Township. A township is a municipal corporation and instrumentality agency of the state for the purpose of local government. Township board is a township body of a special and limited jurisdiction. No organized township has any power or authority except that prescribed by law. MCL, Michigan Compiled Law 41.181, adoption of ordinances by a township board. Except as otherwise provided in this subsection, the township board of a township at a regular or special meeting by a majority of the members elect of the township board may adopt ordinances regulating public health, safety, and general welfare of persons and property, including but not limited to ordinances concerning fire protection, licensing and use of bicycles, traffic, parking of vehicles, sidewalk maintenance and repairs, the licensing of business establishments, the licensing and regulating, making regular, of public amusements, the regulation, making regular, the prohibition of public nudity. End quote. The proposed noise ordinance and its 28-year-old predecessor places bogus barriers and restrictions erected by predator agency agents working for self-interest and personal preference. Government agencies are elected by we the people with limited authority to regulate, keep regular, health, safety, and general welfare of persons and property. There is no provision for an ordinance for noise. I looked, this is the search results of the statute. When you search noise, there are 0 results. I hereby charge you to cease and desist this unlawful act. Should you continue to act outside the authority of your office of Township Supervisor, we, the people, will recall and replace you and the entire township staff acting in an unlawful manner.
Yes.
Good.
Definitely can't beat that. I'm Arlen Jones and I reside at 4413 Ryerson Road. I am coming to this board as a concerned citizen of Cedar Creek Township for the abuse of political power. When in history have we had a township pass an ordinance over one situation? This is not about noise, it's about hurting people that like shooting. Shane Brown said that our old noise ordinance is already enforceable for shooting hours for the people that are stating the hours that after 12:1. Linda Ertz from the first task force meeting made it clear it was about firearms, and on the last task force meeting she stated she was scared for people walking up on people's porches that could be backed down by guns, and then stated they could get shot. In your task force meeting, Linda, you stated what is best for the people, like you. You are making this what is best for you. You are concerned about the people. Let's take this to a vote in November to see what the people think. Our board has to uphold what the people want, not what the board wants. And our board has to hold the people when in position, abusing their powers that are hurting the people. Now, when you say we are following DNR state rules are for state land. Private land rules are different. Cedar Creek is almost all national forest and they have different rules yet. Their noise ordinance is from 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. So somebody can ride a dirt bike behind my house at 6 a.m., but I can't mow my grass till 8 a.m. I have a problem with the inconsistencies of this ordinance. A ordinance is about noise and only noise, not subject to one thing. Make this straight across the board or don't make this at all.
My name is Nathaniel Presnell. I live at 6751 Cedar Road. I just bought the house in the middle of a pandemic. Grew up in Twin Lake, right in Twin Lake, Duff Road my whole life. Moved out, was in the Navy, did a whole bunch of crap, lived everywhere. Came back because I loved it so much, and now I gotta deal with this. All I gotta say is 50% of the people who live in Cedar Creek don't even have natural gas. Most of them don't even have internet. But yet you want to have the same shit, same stuff as HOA fees. If you're going to do that, why is half, 50%, look like a junkyard? I got people with light bars on their frickin' Jeeps, but they can't pick up their frickin' diapers in their yard. You're going to tell me I can't shoot my gun? I'm going to mow my lawn every frickin' morning at 6 a.m. I promise you if you do this shit. I'm going to shoot my gun every damn night at 10:01 p.m. every day. This is bullshit. This is some UK stuff. This is why we came over here. This is why we told them no. This is why we got in a war. This is why fucking thousands of people died. I'm sorry, I apologize. This is why thousands of people died for this. Not so we can have people tell us what we can do and then go, yay or nay. BS, we need to vote. We need to vote as a people, not as a group. I didn't even vote for any of you guys. I know a couple of the names because of a gun shop. That's it. And that this has even gotten to where it's gone is BS. I didn't have anything written down. I just had to come up and say that we need to go to a different section and have another like indoctrination of a document and say do we need to start our own frickin' county and say we can't have any rules here? I thought that's what frickin' Cedar Creek was. I thought this is where we could go to do that, but I guess not.
Thank you for your comment.
My name is Scott Barnard. I live at 8000 Weiler Road. I'm a farmer. You think you're going to tell me my animals can't make noise? When you change your times twice a year, my cows don't know that. You tell them to shut up because I'm an hour late feeding them. Because I can't get out and milk them because I got to get my daughters to school. You got some really stupid stuff in here. I didn't have any propaganda. This is what I read for your rules, what you're trying to pass. You got stuff in here that's absolutely pathetic. My dad didn't die for this. My dad died for our rights, and our rights are being infringed upon. I say no.
My name is Justine Mooney. I live at 3468 Holton Duck Lake Road. I'm a resident of Cedar Creek Township. I've read through the noise ordinance and I think it's very inconsistent. I'm generally a component of less regulation. I think we can work this sort of stuff out as neighbors. I also think it's an interesting time that we're doing this with COVID going on. I feel like my options are to live outside right now where I'm gonna make noise. I'm gonna have people over where I can socially distance safely and enjoy myself, especially as the weather gets warmer. And I honestly think this is simply ridiculous.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Don Creed. I reside at 6316 Shaw Road, retired U.S. Army. Now, I get coyotes all the time, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and you can believe me, I will be out there with my AR-15 shooting them. And if somebody's going to call the police on me, that's ridiculous. Like you said, too, this one lady made good points. Y'all are elected officials. You can't just get your little group up there and make rules. That's a dictatorship. We vote on what goes, not y'all. Thank you.
Mike Bossett.
Just one moment. I would like to just make one statement. You all are assuming this is passed. This is not passed.
And shouldn't pass
It
until
shouldn't
Alright, Mike from Michelanda. I am a Cedar Creek Township. You made a comment that everything on this little flyer that was put out is untrue.
I didn't say everything.
Could you walk down through exactly what is untrue in this flyer?
Yeah.
And compare it against what's in the noise ordinance that you're proposing? Because I looked through your noise ordinance and I can read, and I don't see much on here that's not true, according to what you're saying. So I'd like to see exactly what you're considering untrue. And then let's talk about the penalties, because I'm hearing limited enforcement. Well, that to me is, that should be. You're not going to enforce some of these rules or the penalties? I don't think that's correct. Who's making that call on whether or not it should be enforced? Are you asking the sheriff to do it? That's a gray area. We shouldn't have any ambiguity in any of your enforcement or in any of your laws. I see a lot of things on here that should be taken out on the old ordinance. I mean, I'm a farmer as well. I got farm animals. They make a noise, my neighbors can call it in on me. If I'm transporting equipment and it rattles, according to your ordinances, I can be fined and thrown in jail. There's some pretty stupid things in here. So I think we actually, instead of adding more, you should actually go through and strip out some of these noise ordinances and look at it. Okay?
Thank you.
I'm Rick Proctor, live at 3426 Ewing in Cedar Creek. I moved here about 1.5 years ago, from 2 miles down the road, Dalton. Honestly, so I didn't have to deal with this kind of stuff.
Could you speak up just a little bit and try to hear you?
Yeah, I just moved out here about 1.5 years ago, from like 2 miles down the road in Dalton, so I didn't have to deal with things like this. I have a letter here. It's from Commissioner Melinda Pego. She's unable to make it.
Read that as well.
Yep, she has prior engagements. It's the Cedar Creek Township Board. I'm writing to you today because I have been approached by many residents of Cedar Creek Township. This is in concern to the proposal of a more restrictive noise ordinance, which is a local government outreach. They have requested I take a stand as their higher representation. They expect the rights as American citizens granted from God that are protected and secured through our Constitution to not be infringed, especially by the very elected officials that took an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution. The people disagree with this more restrictive proposal. Cedar Creek is not an urban area. People are here because of the rural offerings and expect to utilize their land as such. The ordinance appears to be written for an urban area, so it doesn't suit the people here. This proposal is discriminatory against people of their own property, engaging in their daily, nightly activities, not by just sounds alone. The restriction of firearm use, regardless of sound, doesn't fit the purpose of a noise ordinance. Some subsections have no limits, while others have a variety of issued time restrictions. There are seemingly many inconsistencies. This is confusing, and these restrictions aren't by just sound level, but as written are only restrictive against normal activities. It allows law enforcement to exercise bias to factor against innocent people on their own private property. The subsection regarding fireworks is illegal. Fireworks have state regulations. This cannot be allowed to pass as it is currently proposed. The potential violation resulting in a misdemeanor charge is excessive. The claim of an intent to change the later is based on future intent which is not agreeable and is not acceptable. The noise ordinance should not be more restrictive to the people. I encourage further review with less restriction. Thank you for your time and consideration. Commissioner Melinda Pego.
Thank you very much.
It's the first time at the board. My name is Bob DeWitt. I live at 5128 Holton, Duck Lake Road. When we moved out here, we moved in from the city, and so we were used to all these types of ordinances. I couldn't go out the back door and shoot my gun, couldn't do anything. You really can't, which is fine. We moved out here about 10 years ago, and a couple moved into the house next door to us who has chickens. Never heard them before. They go off at 3, 2, 1 in the morning. I told my wife, I said, I thought they were supposed to be getting you up in the morning, and they just went off all night long. It drove you crazy after about 4 years of it, and I just told her, I said, look, I said, we moved out here to do what we wanted to do. They have chickens, we have guns. And I said, we can go out and shoot off the back deck of our house. You can make noises, you can do whatever you want to do. And why are we limiting this way? I've read through this thing, I've got some information, like he said, there was some false information. I'm looking through this going like, there's not a lot of false information here, I'm just telling you. And I'm going like, to me, if I do anything in our backyard after a certain time level, I'll get fined for it. To me, why don't you put together on your board, you put a board together to write this ordinance, why don't you get people from the community as well and draw from them, create your own, another board, put it all together, go through this thing with a fine-tooth comb, because if you do this, nobody's going to be doing anything, and people are going to be divisional. I mean, you're going to have division in this county or in this township like you won't believe. You have going to have neighbor against neighbor. I don't think that's what Cedar Creek is all about. We didn't move out here. I will tell you this: you pass this kind of stuff here, we're moving. I'm just telling you.
My name is Mary Van Blarden. I've lived in Cedar Creek for 52 years. I live on McMillan Road. You talk about a growing number of complaints, but yet you gave us no numbers. You talked about supporting evidence, yet you gave us no evidence. You never mentioned decibels or distance, so we don't know what level we can be at or not be at. And lastly, you said that you disagree with the way that it went out on the internet, but yet you didn't do your job and put it out to us ahead of time.
My name is Wes Lomax. I live at 3881 Holton, Duck Lake. And if you've been hanging around the township for the last 30 years, you know I've been involved in almost every committee that they have and every board that they have, except for that board up there. I resigned last year, but Linda fired me last year. Apparently, you replaced me with somebody, right? You called me on the phone and told me you didn't need me anymore. I've been fired before. I understand what it is. So, anyway, I've got a few comments. And first one is when people move out into like Cedar Creek Township, the rural area, they expect certain noises, certain sounds that you didn't get in the city, like dogs barking. My dog is my security system. If you doubt it, you just come in the yard. And if you doubt it, go in my neighbor's yard because you won't come out of that yard. The gunshots. People get used to gunshots out here. In fact, when I moved out here, I said, if I can't pee in my yard, shoot off my deck, the neighbors are too close. So, I don't know. Are we building up to the point where the neighbors are getting too close?
Yes.
Yep. Yes.
Or what? Okay. We've got other things that you learn to deal with, like the smell of wood smoke during the heating season, when everybody gets their wood burners fogging up
And if you've got a health problem, you've got a health problem. That's something the township could work on. We've suggested it several times and nothing ever happens. Like our old ordinance, our sound ordinance, noise ordinance, whatever you want to call it. We've suggested several times that it be run up the flagpole and see what happens. And all we ever got was, oh no, it can't be enforced. They never tried to enforce it. Now we got one that's 4 pages long, and some of the wording in this really, if I hadn't been involved with Township for so long, I probably wouldn't know the difference. But, let's see here. How about your neighbor working on your vehicle? When I first came in here, the guy 2 roads up from, or 2 houses up from me, raced stock cars. You got a thing in here on exhaust. He didn't have any mufflers on those stock cars. You know, when he came home from a race, if it was midnight, he was out in the garage and he was taking the dents out of that thing and working on the engines. And you know what? I learned to accept that. I lived out in the country. Then you get the other things that irritate some people, like songbirds. You know, a cardinal whistling really irritates some people. or coyotes. Guy here's going to shoot coyotes out of his backyard. Well, some people enjoy listening to the coyotes. Yard and road maintenance equipment. Everybody's got to mow their lawn. Everybody's got to maintain their yard. The county maintains the roads. Bob Wright's a heavy equipment operator for the county. How's he going to go by your house at 3 o'clock in the morning plowing snow without making any noise? He's not gonna. You are going to wake up and say, whoop, there goes the snowplow. Every winter it happens. And the road noise. You get used to it. Sirens, the loud exhaust, squealing tires, that goes with the territory. You could live in Muskegon, you could hear the same thing. Let's see. Contradiction. There's several of this in this ordinance that's contradictory, one thing to the other. Like, we have an ordinance that says I'm entitled to have a certain number of chickens because I have a certain number of acres. But if my rooster crows, I can't have him. Then we're putting in a sports complex. The kids come over to play basketball and they sit their boombox up on top of their car and they play basketball till midnight because they got headlights on. I know because I live right next door to them. But you accept it, that's part of the territory. And then also, we need to learn to talk to our neighbor. If my neighbor has a barky dog, and I think it's causing a problem, I'll go and talk to him about it. Or if my neighbor likes to shoot his rifle or his handgun, I'll go and talk to him about it. You don't need an ordinance passed that says we can't talk to each other in this township. And you're going to have a cop come and talk to us. One of the things, remember, you look at the master plan. The master plan requires that this area stay rural. That's why we have very little industrial. That's why we have very little development except along M120. Because people want this area to be rural. Now, do you want to go into the ordinance?
Thank you. You've actually exceeded your 2 minutes.
I can't hear you.
You've exceeded your 2 minutes.
Oh, I knew I could exceed my 2 minutes, but I also know that this is a peaceful assembly and I have a right to talk to you. So, do you want to go into the ordinance or?
We have asked everyone to limit it to 2 minutes.
I understand that was your wish, yes, Linda, I understand. Do you want to get into the ordinance?
You can have my 2 minutes. Yeah, I'll give him mine. Let me make his point. I'll give him mine too. We don't trust you.
Is that a yes or no? Okay, it won't take long. If you got a copy of it, first of all, nowhere in this ordinance does it exclude emergency vehicles. It says you can't blow a siren, you can't blow your horn, you can't do this, you can't do that, but it doesn't exclude emergency vehicles. And if it's going to be an ordinance, that wording needs to be in here.
That's the old one.
85 decibels. Who measures that?
That's the old one. That's the old one.
It's now 88.
This is the new one.
Well, this is the one I got from Town Hall.
I'm just saying.
Yesterday, the day before yesterday. Okay, I believe you, Chuck. But who measures the sound levels? You can't blow your horn or signaling device on any street or public place, which means the ball diamond. You know, those people are blowing their horns. They're whistling, they're hollering, and I know there may be a time restriction, but when they're playing basketball till midnight, get into the loudspeakers, amplifiers. You know, years ago we used to have an ice cream truck that came down the road, and the kids all went out and bought an ice cream cone. That's nice. You can't do that anymore because he's got amplifiers. Exhaust is chainsaws. Chainsaws are loud. Every one of them has a muffler on it, unless you customize it at home, and they're still loud. So this isn't going to make a big difference. But the one that really floored me is now I can't blow the whistle on my locomotive.
Because I don't agree with some of the time changes myself. I'm responding to one of the comments from Wes because I just want to point one thing out. Fine. Don't want to know the truth.
It is. Okay. Yep, you made the rules. Play by them.
What's the troublemaker?
My name is Beth Barnard. I live on Weiler Road in Cedar Creek Township. The Trump administration deregulated a whole lot of stuff, and nobody missed the regulations. The problem is we are trying to make too many rules, and too many rules makes too much conflict. And too much conflicts, like he says, all of a sudden we have police officers showing up at our doors and people not talking to each other. I don't think we need these rules and regulations. We've had issues and problems with our neighbors. We've been able to have good relations with all of our neighbors without any issues or problems just by talking. The problem is, like they said, these are not fluent regulations. They are up for interpretation. And your interpretation may not be the same as my interpretation. Now we're causing all sorts of discord in this township that we do not need. We are in a big lot township, like he said. The master plan was for a big lot township. If your neighbor's bothering you, get a bigger lot. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean here, but if you want to live in a gated community with a ton of regulations and a ton of different rules, then live in a gated community. We are out in a rural area with farms, with people that have acreage, with people that are used to talking to their neighbors and resolving their own problems. We don't need the police showing up at our doors. We don't need to worry about if our neighbor's going to get arrested. We don't need to worry about if we're going to be charged with a misdemeanor on a trumped-up account because somebody got mad. What we need is less regulations, and we need to talk to our neighbors. Amen.
Vocal surgery, so I'm going to let me take this mic.
Thank you. I'm Chuck Skinner. I live on Bain Road. I am a resident. I've only been here about 4 years, and I am absolutely floored and in love with all you people here being here for this. I'm sure we don't agree on everything in this, but I do like the idea that you've come out to voice your opinion and to say your 2 cents. It means a lot to me that I live in that kind of community. Okay, I just want to do something because I've spoken to several people that don't know some of the stuff that pertains to this. Okay, and I'm a retired math teacher. I'm retired Air Force. Sorry, Army guys. I know, 5 stars. But like the dB levels. Okay. Normal conversation is 50 dB, okay? 60 dB is not just 10 dB louder, it's 10 times louder. 70 dB isn't 20 dB louder, it's 100 times louder, okay? And I ask you to please go over this with a fine-tooth comb. I don't like some of the times, that's my biggest thing. But when you're talking about going from 85 dB to 88 dB, they increase the actual ambient noise level in some of these things. But a jackhammer at 50 feet is 80 dB. Can you imagine 88 dB? It's higher, almost 10 times louder than a jackhammer. So what I'm saying is, dig through it, dig hard. I'll stand with you, I promise I will. But don't just read something. Vet it for yourself, okay? I've been trying to read everything. I've communicated with a couple of y'all. I'm not trying to argue, I'm trying to be smarter. I encourage you to do the same. One good thing about this form right here is this is a proposal to the board. I want, like many of you, I think something this important should be voted on by us, not them. But it has to go through its steps. I don't know how to get it to a public vote. I've asked, I haven't gotten an answer. I'm with you on that, 100%. But it's got to go through process, okay? So be heard, be smart, and let's follow this through, okay? Oh, the deregulation, amen. Civil neighbors, amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate that. Mr.
Steve Coker, 6730 Cedar Road. The issue I have is I'm a gun guy. I like to shoot. I know most people out here do, but the issue I have is we have a guy behind our house that shoots. He lives in Muskegon. He usually doesn't start shooting until about 8 o'clock at night, sometimes midnight. That's unacceptable. I mean, there's gun ranges for that. I feel if you want to shoot guns, go for it. I'm all for it. But 8 o'clock to midnight at night is not cool. And I think they should have a time on it. I mean, a lot of people are working. A lot of people are trying to get their kids to bed. You know, I think it's inconsiderate. And this guy can go home in Muskegon and it's quiet. Now, like I said, I don't mind shooting guns. I shoot guns and stuff. And but the hours, 8 to 12, is not cool.
Did you talk to him?
Yes. Oh, no, I mean, that's not okay. You don't think he's enforceable?
No, I don't hear it. I live in this township.
I
have a feeling that, hello, Alan Schoenbeck, 1680 12 Cedar Road. I have a feeling a lot of this is from me
in my property, we do a lot of shooting. When we go out there, that's why I bought property out here, so I could do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. And if somebody had an issue, bring it to me. Don't bring it to government. They don't need to be intervene in all this crap. You know, when I first came out here, I did shoot a couple times after 11. Everybody complained, so I started talking to my neighbors, worked it out with one. I've got berms built. I've got ways to mitigate the sound. I'm still increasing that, but at the same time, we don't need the government telling us what we can and cannot do. Just come talk to me. I'm not gonna shoot you or anything crazy. Just come talk to me like a neighbor and we'll work something out.
I'm Lori Colker. I live with Steve at 6730 Cedar. Neither one of us knew where all of this noise was coming from. That was where some of this started. It was in the night, it was in the dark, it's behind our house. We don't know where the bullets are going, we don't know who's shooting, and it's not just a couple of bullets. We're talking about 2 and 3 hours at a time. Okay, you can mow your lawn and you can get it done in an hour. But we have this going on. We have people coming from other places to go there. And so for us, it's been difficult for us to know when it's going to happen, when we can sit down and relax, when we can have anybody come to our house to visit, have a glass of wine, have a beer. You can't hear. It's loud. And we're just asking for maybe something to be worked out. We have no problem with working that out with our neighbor. We didn't know who our neighbor was. They never attempted to try to come and talk to us. And so we never know who this person was. So it's not just one person. I can't take 2 and 3 hours at a time after I worked all day. I just can't do it.
Before you, there was a lady that wanted to come out and speak.
My name is Karen Palmer. I live on Ryerson Road. You have my street address in the sign-up sheet. First, I would like to thank you for moving this meeting so that the public can have an opportunity to have something that more closely resembles but still is not a truly open meeting. I hope that the fact that you recognize the need to do so means that you recognize the people's resounding dissent from your questionable actions. I'm disturbed, however, by the attempt to move it off of the agenda from today. Clearly, Linda, you recognized that we have a right to speak. You want to hear us. Thank you for voting in favor of that. I was pretty disappointed when there seemed to be an attempt to stop that from happening today. Michigan Statute Section 41 and Act 246 of 1945 seems to allow the township with the authority to adopt ordinances which, quote, secure the public health, safety, and general welfare. Michigan statutes don't seem to define these words, so I use Black's Law Dictionary. From what I can discern, public health is about sanitary conditions and disease, safety is not defined, and welfare is about happiness and exemption from evil and calamity. What I'd like to say today is that I don't want you to legislate what you think makes me happy. That's for me to decide and to work out with my neighbors. Yes, that includes you too. Agreed. What I don't want is excessive government. I think we're all tired of that. What this ordinance describes may suit a high-density urban population, but that does not describe Cedar Creek Township at all. It discriminates against various sources of sound and noise, and thus specific people and activities of their choice, when that scope should be limited to decibels only, if at all. Some subsections restrict sound by hours, some have no limits on restrictions. Your additional restrictions on firearm use are discriminatory, legislate well beyond the noise factor, and do not belong here. You say you will amend the misdemeanor charge later. You should never, ever pass an ordinance with an alleged intention that you plan to amend it later. Amen. And I don't care that it has been in place for 41 years and amended 28 years ago. I would rather, and I hope the people will join me as I demand, that you repeal this 41-year-old monstrosity as soon as possible and let we, the people, police ourselves as civil Americans should do. Thank you.
I'm Randy Blanchett, live at 7193 Cedar Road. I'm a pastor, but I'm not long-winded, and I promise I will not take an offering. But there is a verse in the Bible that I have to remind myself of frequently. Esteem others more highly than yourself. That's the bottom line, is trying to work together and make things so that it's acceptable to everybody. We had issues with our sound. Haven't we, Peggy? We've had issues. And we have tried. We went out and we bought sound decibels. At times it was still too loud. And she came to us and she told us, and I said, okay, we'll continue to work on it. And we will work on it again this year as we try to be neighborly. That doesn't mean I'm going to shut the sound system off. I won't. I've told God I will praise Him at all costs. But that also means I need to esteem Peggy and Gary as more highly than myself. How that works, I don't know how that's going to work this summer. I guess we'll find out. But we're going to continue to work together and try to make it happen. So I think we can do this. Yes. We can make this happen without regulations. It's simply, let's esteem each other more highly than ourselves.
Amen. Amen.
I'm Julie Outbeer and I live on Cedar Road and I am directly across from Stone Gate Golf Course. And I asked for a noise ordinance earlier because I'm up at 5:30 with jet blowers and backpack blowers and lawn mowers and rollers. They're there at 6:30 and in the time change 5:30 every day. Every day. Now this is a business. They're 100 feet from my house. I look out my window, they're right there. Yes, my A-frame's close to the road. But the thing that gets me about this is the difference in the times. Now you've reduced the gun control from 9 to 7. Well, it used to be what? Dusk, when you couldn't see. And you got construction, new buildings at 7 to 9. What does that, construction of buildings, what's that got to do with across the street? I mean, they can start mowing and doing all theirs at 7, but in my yard, I can't mow my lawn till 10, but I have to listen to them. I've dealt with this, haven't said anything, wanted to see how things were going, but yes, consider it. How many people are here out of 3,000? Does everybody in this township consider it? No. Do you think everybody's going to work it out with their neighbor? There should be some kind of ordinance that everybody agrees on because they're there hours. They mow hours, 3 and 4 hours. An hour to mow your lawn? Oh, no, 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 no. There's a driving range. There's this range. There's in front of this. Hours all day. And that's all you hear pretty soon is humming, humming, humming. And you can't deal with it. So, you know, but the time should be for everyone.
Thank you.
Easy on the mister, please. I'm not that old. My name's Tom Smith. I live at 565 Crocker Road. I do not agree with a lot of the timestamps that are on there, but I do know there are some gun issues. I hunt. I have several guns myself. I've got a range set up to where I can shoot 400 yards. The issue I've had in the past, and these neighbors have come and gone over the years. I've got a couple there now. I've went up and talked to them again. They've got no berms. Their property is only 600 feet deep. My property is in behind them. Their shells are coming into my property towards my house. That is an issue that I have with some of the shooting out here. If you're gonna shoot, make sure you've got a burn that'll stop your rounds. Don't shoot up in the air. It's called a little respect for your neighbor and a whole lot of safety. That bullet goes up, you don't know where it's coming back down. That's all I got to say is let's work together, show a little respect. If you don't have enough room to safely discharge that firearm, put it away. Thank you.
Good evening, my name's Dave Eichenberry. I live at 5175 Brown Street, over near Clear Lake. I've lived in this township my entire life. I moved away for just 4 or 5 years. I'm a hunter, I'm a snowmobiler. I got a couple dirt bikes, a quad, a couple boats. I love this area. My heart is here. I'm gonna die in this township, God willing. But with that said, recently someone bought the property next to me and turned it into an Airbnb. Every week, a brand new set of 3 families moves in, and like all of us, it's vacation time. We want to loosen up and have a good time, and around 10 o'clock, the beers start popping, the music's blaring, till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, we can't sleep. We've got fans next to our bed. We bought a noisemaker thing. I've talked to my neighbor. This thing's a cash cow. He's getting rich off this thing. I don't blame him for not wanting to stop it. But my wife and I get up at 5 a.m. and go to work. We're not getting any younger. And it's getting harder to sleep with all that noise. I don't like the dang ordinance. I don't like anybody. I'm an independent. I like to vote independent. I don't like regulation. I was just cheering President Trump on when he was knocking away those regulations. I get all that too. But I'm glad we're here to talk and share our ideas. I've learned a lot. I came in here thinking about myself and our ability not being able to sleep, but I hear all you folks and I appreciate what you're saying. I hope you hear me too. Money's talking right now in my situation, and money is keeping me from sleeping. But my neighbor, he owns that property. He has a right to do what he wants with it, right? But I was there first. It was pretty quiet. So what do we do? I don't know. I don't have the answers. I just want to bring up one of the other questions and problems.
Any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Sharon Lofquist, and we live at 3677 East McMillan Road. And we bought a little farm there, and we have a hope to be able to have some children come while their parents are in treatment. And so we're starting to have animals, and we have chickens that start at like 3 or 4 in the morning. And you know, I'm out there working in my gardens and stuff, and I probably play my praise music a little loud sometimes when I'm out in my yard. But we have a neighbor just 2 doors down that, I don't know, they must sleep during the day, but all night long there's chainsaws going off and guns going off and all of those things, and it bothers us. And we have, with our neighbors, discussed many times, what do we do? Because we're afraid. We don't know what these people are doing. And so we're afraid to be the ones to be implicated by turning them in. But we care about the neighborhood and our friends and all of this. I think that there are several situations where people have got a problem, and that's why we're here. But can't we deal with the problems? Do we have to make everybody punished for the sake of a few people? Why can't we address these situations that are a huge problem for several people without enforcing major laws on those of us who are respecting, love, and care for each other?
I think I still got part of my 2 minutes left, so I just want to add it. Dirk Burkett, I still live at 6261 Ryerson. I didn't move since then. First thing I want to bring up is I seen a distance of 50 feet in this ordinance. If you set a cell phone right there, go 50 feet away, that phone rings, you can hear that phone, and it's still gonna be pretty loud. So I just wanna make that note. The other thing is, I'd like to say, I kept track, and there was 5.5 or so people that seem to have been for somewhat of this to pass. I think it's important to remember that, the people opposed to that, and the ratio of people that are opposed versus for, because when it comes time to run for office, all it takes is one of the people against us to run against you, and then, oh wow, look, the majority of the votes are going to go to the person that's going to repeal this. And then I would also like everybody to remember the wise words from Kevin Bacon in the movie Footloose, because this stuff is ridiculous.
Hi, my name is Cindy and I live at 6681 Holton, Duck Lake Road. I've been here for 42 years in Cedar Creek Township. I understand, I'm a hunter, fisherman, quad runner, everything. This ordinance was made in '93. Let's not run down the board. Let's work with the board. Ask them to rewrite this. I have neighbors on both sides of me that I argue with 3 times a month because they're not shooting, but their kids are shooting, and they have like 5 or 6 of them there, and you drive past and all 6 of them are shooting at the same time. They don't know where those bullets are going. I have state property behind me. Any one of you guys could be out there on a quad, snowmobile, walking, or anything. They don't know where those bullets are going. So I can understand some of it, but let's not keep running everybody down. Let's work together. Let's try to get this changed and get a good, stable thing that we can all work together with.
That's reckless discharge, not.
It is, and we can't get anybody to do nothing
And
about
the
it.
DNR officer's right up there. All you gotta do is notify them.
You've already, the noise ordinance.
Somebody's giving me their 2 minutes.
You've already had a second.
He's giving me.
I don't. You got my 2 minutes. Do I have
What's that? I can have your 2 minutes too also? I have this 2 minutes.
We do not have to do that again. Sorry. Yeah. You're done.
Well, how am I done? Because I'm done?
Lawyer first, he's like, no, and then she told you to sit down.
Thank you.
I did. No,
I wonder why we don't got someplace to be.
May I have a point of order? I would like to know where in the law, in the statutes, it says that a person cannot bank time or that it is allowed. Is there a statute which delineates that for a township?
Where does 2 minutes come from?
I know it's 2 minutes to speak, but I'm just asking for clarification. If you're going to not allow him to speak. I know, but in some locations you're allowed to speak.
We approve the agenda.
What is the regulation? What is the rules?
Okay. We're going to let this gentleman speak. There's another gentleman speaking after him, and I see another gentleman speaking after him.
I'm Jim Van Blargen, I live on McMillan Road, and I gotta say, probably everybody in this room is guilty of making noise, right? Just like if everybody was in here, do I got a person in here that hasn't sinned yet? Do I have that? No. But respect for your neighbor, I can see that. You know, so I can hear bullets and stuff. I'm used to it. I've always lived around here and stuff. This stuff doesn't bother me. I don't get irritated with stuff like that. But I do feel that it should be a vote. I do feel that this is a democratic community and it should be voted on democratically, publicly, with a vote with everybody in the community. Thank you.
I appreciate your comment. Thank you very much. There was another gentleman right there.
Just stretching.
Stretching, I don't blame you. Was there someone else standing up back there that needed?
Just the guy you said couldn't talk.
Martha.
I'm Martha Hicks. I'm from 6725 East Cedar Road. I think I need to.
Yeah, we're nobody's going to be able to hear you.
Yeah. Hi. Is this thing working?
Yeah, there you go. Hit your mic.
Hi, I'm Martha Hicks, the assessor for the Cedar Creek Township, and I live across the street. I still can't hear you. What is it? Hello? There you go. I'm Martha Hicks. I'm the assessor for Cedar Creek Township. I have lived in that township since 1961. We've never had any problems with our neighbors, and I still wouldn't have any problems with the neighbors if they wouldn't shoot that rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat for 3 hours at a time. And when I'm trying to have company over, that's what bothers me. And it's not just one day, it's like, we've had it for a week at a time. So I mean, this is why we're complaining. So we need something done. If they could go out there and target practice, would be fine, like they have been doing the last few days. But they need to go to a gun range if they're going to do that kind of shooting. Thank you.
All right, any other comment? Any other comment? Any other comment?
I did.
I'd like to hear. All right, thank you. Then the board will move on to the noise ordinance, to voting on the noise ordinance.
I make a recommendation that this get tabled until we can hear everybody's concerns. And I very much appreciate everybody here, but we've been at this for a while, and I wish you could have gotten involved with it then too. Okay. I make a motion to table this so that we can take everything everybody has said into consideration. The only thing I was going to state is I wish you would stop condemning this board. All we did was look at an ordinance, and everything that Wes brought up, we didn't change that. That's been there. So if you want those changed, that's great, but don't shoot the messenger. We're just following what people did 28 years ago. We didn't add these things. I went through this line by line by line. And 90% of this is the same as it was. So, no, it's never been enforced. No, it's the same. I don't agree with some of the time changes. I agree with all of you. I think this needs to be tabled so that we can review everything you want, and if it goes to a vote of the people, that's something we can look into. It's never been done. It's not how it's worked out here. It can change. But please don't shoot us, because we didn't write these rules. We didn't put these rules in here. We didn't put the $500 fine in there. It's been there. It's exactly the same as the first one. So you're condemning us for just bringing up and reviewing this, trying to get it taken care of. So we will be happy to take everything everybody said and take this back, in my opinion, to the committee and have them review, and we have it on tape, of everything everybody said, because this is a community for everybody. But 90% shoot guns, I understand that. But the person that lives next door to somebody that's shooting for 3 hours straight, I live a half a mile from there. I'm petrified to go for a walk because I don't know where those bullets are going. I don't know how these berms are set up. You know, I'm trying to be kind, so let's just be kind. My biggest thing here is I'm very sad with all the hate. We're just trying to do our job. It was brought to us. We're trying to fix it. So my motion... Pardon? Are you going to wait till it happens? We're trying to fix it so it doesn't. Well, this is, I'm not going to argue, okay? I made a motion so that we can review what you've asked us to review. So I would need a second to the motion to take this back so we can review all of your all of your comments and try to take everybody's into consideration. Not just the people complaining on your end. We're trying to listen to all of you, and that's why we opened it up. My problem is, I would love to see this at every one of our meetings so you can see all the other things that we are working on.
Where are these people getting their ammo?
Well, that question was asked to the gentleman where he's receiving the ammo. But we have to follow state rules too during COVID, and the only thing we could do was Zoom. Now, I understand you don't have Zoom. We opened it up to the public right in the parking lot. We can't always, ma'am, get the school. It's not always available to us. If this is the type of crowd we're going to get every time, thank you, and thank you. Because this is what a community does. But when you have, and I've been on the board since 2007, I've had no more than 10 people at that meeting every single time, and it's only happened in the last 5 years. Before that, there was nobody there. So if you want things done, participate with us, because we're really open to hear it. So I'm asking for a second to table this so it can be reviewed again, and we will get back to you so you can come in and listen again. The support came from the treasurer, Heather Jarvis, to table this and send it back to the committee with the complaints and the reviews of all of you. Comments. Thank you.
All right, we've had a motion and a support. Is there any discussion? Trustee Foster.
Yes, I'm just going to stand up so that it's a little, easier for everybody to hear. I get your point out there, what everybody is saying.
Can't hear you. Peggy, do you want to take this, move over and take this? It won't stretch any further than... You gotta come by me.
Hold on to this, because then I'm going to...
It won't stretch any further.
Okay. Well, I think it is great that that the board that I am on want to table this, but it's going to continue to be tabled. So this is, I kind of wrote a few words. If you don't mind, I would like to read them to you. And I'm on your side. I feel this is an unnecessary ordinance that we all, because most of it is from the firearm use. Our very first meeting, I had asked our task force, why are we having this meeting? Is it because of firearms? The answer is yes. So I don't want you to shoot the messenger, but I am on your side. We don't need more unwanted ordinances. We already know that this is actually said by the sheriff and by the DNR officer that they will not enforce, and we will not infringe or encroach on the Second Amendment. And I'm a believer. Thank
We love you, Maggie.
Captain Brown and I had a lengthy discussion about this, and he is a strong believer in the Second Amendment, as am I. And this ordinance was not about guns, just about guns. It was about noise. So, and I tried to explain that in this, and I really want to strengthen this again by saying it's about all noise. I'm not going to belabor this anymore because it's like beating a dead horse, but I have the floor right now, sir.
And that was rude.
But I am going to say this. We will not just continue to table it. We will take it back to the task force. We will make some decision at the task force level. what that is, I can't tell you because I am only a member of the task force. We will bring that back to the board with some form of recommendation. The task force will not indefinitely table this. That is not fair, Trustee Foster, for you to make that statement.
I'm just with the people. I'm with these people.
So, with that said, I'm calling for a vote.
Trustee Wright.
What's the motion?
The motion is to table this and send it back so that they can listen to all of the complaints that are, all the comments, excuse me, the comments that is being taped, so we can read them, we can hear them, we can listen to them, we can see them over and over, and we really can hear what you said, because I'm sorry, there's a lot of noise in here, a lot of people speaking when other people are speaking. You don't hear everything. So we're going to listen, and I very much appreciate Andy doing this so that we can hear all your voices. So the motion is to table this and send it back so everyone can listen to all of the comments and all of the concerns regarding the noise ordinance from 1993 and now being reviewed. Bob?
No.
You want to vote on it then? Is that what it is? Okay. Peggy?
I want it to go away.
No, I want it to go away.
And I say that because I'm the planning commission. I've been to many meetings and they said don't make an ordinance over one thing. And I've heard it over and over and over again. And it says to look at your master plan. We look at our master plan. It talks about the rural characteristics, and that's where I am on it. I feel passionate about it. I understand what's going on.
I understand too, but there's other people that have other problems, so you don't think we should listen to their side too and look at this again?
Well,
it's not one-sided. This is the whole community.
I think we hear all the shooting. We hear the motorcycles. I got earplugs. If it bothers me, I'll put earplugs in.
So, yours is no. Heather Jarvis, do you want to table this? Yes. Clerk Kuziak, yes, I think it needs to be addressed.
Yes.
Supervisor Arts.
Yes. Motion carries. It will go back to the task force for further review and for some form of decision.
Trustee Foster said no. Trustee Foster said no to tabling it and sending it back. Trustee Wright said no to tabling it and sending it back. Treasurer Jarvis, Clerk Kuziak, and Supervisor Arts voted yes to have it looked at with all of your comments so that we can come to a final conclusion to help everybody.
Can I ask one little question? When you take that back to your task force, why don't you take some people out of here?
I would be very happy for everybody to come.
We did have a citizen serve on the committee, and the citizen dropped out, so we'd be happy to have it.
Ho, one at a time, please. They're public meetings.
Pardon?
Public open meetings. They are all public open meetings. They have never been closed to anybody. That is the law. That's an Open Meetings Act, which means anybody and everybody can come. And like I said, if you don't have Zoom and we run out of room and it's going to be this large, we will look for a larger facility. We will accommodate all of you, or we have available internet right in the parking lot. And if I have to come out with a laptop, I'll come out with a laptop.
I'm talking about not just being at the meetings like this. I'm talking about them sitting on that board where you guys are sitting, and you guys are gonna, with them, make the decisions. Not, okay, let's all come to the meeting and voice our opinions, and we're gonna go back and we're gonna all just decide, because if you notice the voting, sorry, I'm getting irate. You three vote the same way every single time. It outdoes them, no matter what they vote. If they vote yes, you vote no. If they vote no, you vote yes.
Our opinions are different. That's what the board is about.
So equal it out.
But you're not.
I do agree that needs to go back. I'm sorry.
public vote.
All right, the vote has been passed, the motion has been passed to go to the committee. It's over. Okay. All right, all right, we heard you, thank you. I'm going to do, there are two people who would like to make a statement, a quick statement, and then we're going to adjourn for 5 minutes.
As stated, of course, asking about different citizens being on the task force, and it's you saying that they are open. We would like that posted.
It is always posted on the website.
We would like to also know that when we go to that meeting, that our voices will be heard instead of voted out yet again. Thank you.
With internet access, I need it someplace else on a website.
Send flyers to us.
Thank you for your comments.
I just want to make one suggestion. It's not a complaint, it's not anything. The comment was made that there's not very many changes in this ordinance, correct? Would you please?
There are a few changes, and as I was part of that task force, there are a few changes.
Correct, which is fine. The next time that you print them out, could you print the changes in red? So we know these are changes versus what's been there? That will help everybody know this has been around. It's going to stop a lot of controversy because, like you said, there's so many things in here that are the same. Not your fault, not your fault. But if you're going to change something, show it so it's designated so when I read it, this is the change.
That's an excellent comment.